Hello everyone, welcome along to show 3 of the All Angle Sports Investing Weekly Preview Show. As always, I'm Kev, hosting again. I've got Steve Wiss with me. I've got Ashley Waite with me as well. Guys, how's your week been?
Kev, how you doing? All right, thanks. Yeah, we've the first 2 shows we've done have been pretty good so far. Plenty of winners on there. Obviously, we'd like a few more, but there's been some real juicy prices. But I think, there's people been looking forward to this show throughout the week. Like I said before, one of the better places out there to get some free picks ahead of the weekend from obviously a premium service that All Angles is. So stay tuned for more winners.
Yep, absolutely. Ashley, how's your week been? Going well, hopefully?
Yep, it's been going well. Trying to close out the month strong there in our premium service. So I've had a few winning days in a row. I'm just kind of trying to chip away, get back to my normal form, and it looks like I'm heading in that direction. So super happy. I'm excited to wake up and be a capper and a sports bettor again every day. So last month that was not the case. So getting back to a good place.
Moving in the right direction. That's what we like to hear. Okay, we've brought you plenty of winners on this show for the first 2 weeks, and we've got 7 cracking bets coming up for you throughout the course of this show. Before we get into those bets, though, if anyone's got any questions that they want answering, Steve, Ashley, or myself, just send them in. We'll do our best to answer them if we see them as we're going along. We've had some brilliant interaction on social media from all of you guys that are listening in, so it's only fair that you get your own input, and we'll try and answer anything that you've got for us. Right, let's get cracking with some bets. Once again, we're coming at you on a Thursday night for the reason that I am going to be at the game on the Friday night. And it's my team again, Luton Town against West Ham United. The first ever Premier League match at Kenilworth Road, Steve. I don't need to tell you how big that is and how important that is, and indeed how much I'm looking forward to that. 2 defeats so far for Luton, being more competitive than the scoreline suggests, but West Ham have probably surprised everyone. 2 wins and a draw. The win at Brighton last week really did surprise people. What have you made of both teams?
Luton Town on a Friday night again, Kev. I thought you weren't too bad last week, actually. Raheem Sterling was the difference maker. I've not seen many people talk about this game, Luton-West Ham, yet. I think there'll be a lot of interest in West Ham on the day because of the start they've had. But there was a lot of negativity surrounding West Ham United this season. I saw a lot of people tipping them for relegation. David Moyes, first manager out, and they've done surprisingly well. And they actually had a really good game plan against Brighton last week. If you watch it, I think that's as good as I've seen a team tactically set up against Roberto De Zerbi's men. And it was, David Moyes is actually an underrated manager in a lot of ways. He does have his limitations, but he will adapt his tactics for certain sides. And I don't think he will underestimate you. But I think it's a tough game for West Ham. This is a game that you've been waiting 31 years for at Luton Town. You're going to be bang up for it, under the lights. And West Ham are going to have to be ready. And if I've seen West Ham sometimes, they get on a good run. They think the garden's rosy. They think they're going to do really well, and then they underperform. And David Moyes comes out after the game saying that simply wasn't good enough. You know how he does in his negative, boring accent sometimes. Hopefully for your sake, that's what he'll be saying after this one. I don't like West Ham. I think they're minus 135 in places here. I wouldn't be betting on them. If I was to take a bet on the game, I don't actually have a bet on the game, but I'd be looking at the Luton Town Asian handicap plus 0.75 if I was to take something. I might have a bet builder for the members on the day. I think there's a few markets you can combine together, but I think the value is possibly with the home team, but it's a tough one.
Yeah, Luton at home compared to Luton away in this division is going to be completely different. I'm not just saying that because I'm a Luton fan. It is. If you saw the semi-final of the playoffs last season against Sunderland, Sunderland dominated Luton for much of the away leg and couldn't get a look in the home leg. And that's very much what it'll be like, just because of the ground dimensions and everything else like that. Ashley, what have you made of West Ham? Particularly impressive last week at Brighton, like Steve said.
Unfortunately, yeah, because we were on the Brighton draw double chance and both teams to score. So I overcomplicated that one. not too upset about it, Ryan. I did think Brighton would play much better. If you look at the metrics, they controlled everything other than the score. Still not quite sure how they had 30,000 corners, 2,700 shots, and only scored 1 goal. But I will say, kind of like Steve was alluding to, people were not really expecting much out of West Ham. So, sometimes talk like that, especially when you're mentioning them in the relegation zone, right? I think that can bring players closer together. And that's the same reason why I did take them to score in that last match, right? So I think with James Ward-Prowse and Bowen and Antonio, I think this West Ham team has been underestimated. I do like your team here also to contribute. So I'm just going with the total here. It looks a little bit trappy. West Ham's team total over 1.5, I think, is only -115. But I think they can score a couple. I think your team contributes. I think it's going to be an electric atmosphere. I think that, it's obviously a huge game in the history of your club, right? And I was super impressed actually with Luton. With like you said, I don't think the score really reflected that. Luton got off way more shots than I expected them to, against a defensive-minded team. So I think they can score on West Ham here, and I think West Ham will come in with confidence after the absolute shellacking that they put on Brighton. So yeah, not going to complicate this one. I think we see 3 goals. I think both sides contribute here.
Yeah, I like that pick as well. For all that West Ham were good against Brighton, their goalkeeper didn't half make a few saves in that game. And if you think back to the game before when they beat Chelsea missed a penalty at 1-1. If that goes in, that's also a different game. So whilst they've made a good start, West Ham, and whilst I'm not going to dent any West Ham fans' enthusiasm, they're not completely as convincing for me as those 3 games would suggest. Steve, they have just ploughed 38 million quid to Ajax for Mohamed Kudus, though. That's more than Luton have spent in the last 30 years, which kind of shows what they're up against in this game. Not sure if he's going to start or not, but do we know too much about him if he does?
I can't say I'm an expert on him. Kudos to anyone who is, right?
Correct.
I'll get my coat for that one.
I take him quite a bit, so I'll just nose him by saying fantastic move on their behalf. That guy is underrated, and he will be a household name, I think, in the next couple of seasons.
In that case, then let's hope he doesn't start for my behalf, not for the for the first behalf.
Yeah, Ward-Prowse. Let's say if he starts on the bench here.
He's a good signing as well, by the way.
Yeah.
Ward-Prowse. I think they've actually done well. They've used the money of Rice. Took them some time because everyone was moaning. Their fans were moaning. Oh, we've just lost. We've just got 100 million. Why are we not getting the player straight away? They've took their time, but it looks like they've replaced them well. And West Ham suddenly is looking all right again. But I know what it's like with West Ham when the garden's rosy. Suddenly a bad result can come along out of nowhere, and this is the sort of spot where I've seen them slip up before. So, I mean, just before we finish talking about this game, Kev, give us a value play on a Luton player for this game. Who's your most likely scorer? Probably Carlton Morris. Is there someone else that could pop up?
Yeah, probably Carlton Morris. I think that's fair. He didn't play in midweek either. 1 or 2 of the other strikers did play in midweek. Jacob Brown actually scored the opening goal in midweek. He hasn't started either of the 2 games. Come off the bench for Elijah Adebayo. It was his cross that Luton got the penalty from against Brighton, and he had a shot tipped over in that game, and he should have scored, shouldn't he, with a lob, probably 10 minutes from time, something like that at Chelsea. So he's getting in positions to score. Wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if he starts. He could be value. He's got a little bit of pace, and the one thing that West Ham don't defend very well against is pace. So half a chance that he starts, and if he does, he could be a value play to score in that one. Certainly looking forward to the game. As I say, 31 years Luton fans have waited for Friday night. They're not going to let it pass without a good atmosphere. It should be a great watch, and hopefully there's more than 2.5 goals in there. I'm sure there will be, that's for sure. Let's head for Saturday's games then. We said right at the start of this show when we did the first one that we're going to cover the Bundesliga quite a lot this season, and we are doing that with our second pick of the show. We're going to the game between Hoffenheim and Wolfsburg, where a man who's hit the ground running in Bundesliga has got your attention, Ashley.
Right. So Jonas Wind, but I'm just going to call him Jonas Wind because I'm an American and that's what we do. This guy, you know, Wolfsburg on the road here. I don't know really what in the world is going on in the minds of the people setting these lines, but yeah, we've been betting him, each match so far. I'm going to take him again. Plus 240 to me is just absolutely ridiculous. He should be more around the plus 130, plus 140. So I think we're getting about 100 cents of value here. I think maybe they're kind of still looking at this Wolfsburg team as the team they were last season. And good Lord, I mean, this Hoffenheim team, you have a Wolfsburg team who's scoring, 2 a match. And then you have Hoffenheim who's conceding almost 2. So Hoffenheim score, Hoffenheim concede. I've said that a million times. That's what they do. And so against a team that concedes nearly 2, I think Wolfsburg put up a couple, and of course offered their hottest striker at plus 240. I think is just insane. So I really was shocked to see this. The markets haven't adjusted yet, and I think we should keep punishing them for that. And I'm going to take this bet until it doesn't hit.
And not just scoring, Steve, scoring 2 a game. Scored twice in the first game. Scored twice again last week. And as Ashley said, whilst this price is like it is, you're almost priced in at this price.
Yep. I really like Wolfsburg in this game. I mentioned them on another show I did this week, and that's probably the reason why Jonas Vint. I think is it Vint? Is that how you pronounce him? I'm not actually sure. Maybe we'll go Wind. Let's hope there's a gale force behind him here, right? And he gets into the back of the net again. But for some reason, Wolfsburg are an underdog in this match, and that at the end of the day, what affects goal scorer price is the actual match odds of the team, and that's probably where we get in this value from. Ashley's right; he should be probably plus 150 max. He's in hot form, and by the way, this game looks like a massive over match. I think the line is high, 3.25, but there should be plenty of goals here. Again, Ashley, I always remember this. Ashley says if you're going to take a goal scorer, make sure you think that team can score multiple goals. And yes. I think we'd probably all agree that Wolfsburg are likely to net 2 or more here.
Yep, I would agree with that. Very much like goals in that one. There's a few Bundesliga games actually this weekend where there looks like there's going to be plenty of goals, as always, in that league. But that game certainly is the standout one of them. Steve, talking about standouts, let's go to the top level in France now. Very competitive early stages in France, and you've got a game on Sunday afternoon between the two teams right smack bang in the middle of the table where you like an away side. You're on mute.
You're muted.
Unmute yourself.
I do this every single week when I'm doing this show. I must first explain tonight that I'm swinging quite hard with quite a few picks. There's some big prices that I'm giving out today, and it's because I've been fresh from watching Conference League games tonight. I didn't even know what my picks were going to be for this show until I watched some of the football on show. So this is not necessarily going to be picks in the members channel. I might change this to a handicap or goals sort of thing. But I've watched Lille tonight in the Europa Conference League nearly get knocked out by a Croatian team called Rijeka. Now, French football in Europe is just not in a good way. Their teams cannot perform in Europe for whatever reason. And they've gone to extra time. And Jonathan David has saved them with a goal in extra time. But they didn't deserve it. I think penalties was a fairer outcome. And, they've got a trip back from Croatia, 3 days to recover. And they're as short as minus 149 with William Hill to win this game, Lille. I wouldn't back them with Monopoly money. I don't even think they've been playing that well anyway this season. They beat Nantes, but Nantes are going to be down there in the relegation battle. Lorient obliterated them last week, 4-1. Defensive shambles. And I don't really think they're in great form. They're relying massively on Jonathan David to get them out of trouble. Montpellier won 4-1 in their previous away game. And they've got a lot of attacking ability. I mentioned Akor Adams. I've not even looked what price Adams is to score here, but I bet you can get at least plus 200 on him. And I reckon he can fill his boots because I love betting against teams that have played in midweek, especially Thursday night away from home, especially when they've just gone to extra time. So plus 333 on Montpellier money line stood out like a sore thumb to me. There's no way they're going to kick off that price to win this game, because I reckon it'll be probably plus 300 tops. So I'm very happy to get on this money line on the visitors. Just makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, two teams are separated by one place anyway, aren't they? It's not like you've got top against bottom or something like that. You know, the starts they've made, win, a loss, and a draw each.
I mean, what are your guys' thoughts, just for both of you, about betting against teams that have played on Thursday nights away from home? You know, is that a tactic you've ever both done? I'm big into it. I know some kind of ignore it, but
I am. Oh, you go ahead, Kev.
I think if you go back to the first show, we kind of mentioned this with that Super Cup final, didn't we? With Manchester City playing Newcastle 3 days later. It's, you know, particularly when they go to extra time like those games do, you know, it's kind of, particularly when they're playing a first team as well. So if they're, if they're resting players, it's probably a little less so, which is why you know, in the Carabao Cup this week, you've seen a lot of teams resting players. But first choice players on a Thursday to then play again on a Sunday afternoon, you've got to realise it's not just the playing on the Thursday, is it? By the time they've got changed and got home and everything, that's the early hours of Friday morning. It's only really 48 hours of recovery time for the next game. Not a lot at all. I certainly wouldn't want to be backing a side who plays on the Thursday night and then on the Sunday. Whether or not I oppose them or not, that's probably circumstance driven, but I wouldn't want to be backing too many of them. What about you, Ashley?
Yeah, mine kind of goes hand in hand with yours. I wouldn't want to be backing them necessarily, but I'm honestly all about fading Lille right now. Even if they weren't coming off of a fixture today, they look. I kind of want to use the word putrid. That might be a little bit harsh, but they rely way too much on Jonathan David, and Jonathan David to me I like to compare him to Inter Valencia. People who bet scorers will know who that is. All the talent in the world, but you never know when they're going to come out and play hard. So yeah, I don't like strikers like that. I think Montpellier right now, that their matches are high scoring. I think they're definitely going to score on Lille. So yeah, I think Steve's found at the very least, amazing value here. I think Montpellier could take it to Lille if Lille were on a week's rest. So yeah, I definitely like them in this spot.
And of course, at that price, Steve, you don't have to have a huge amount on. You just have to have a select amount, and you can still win a decent amount.
You guys have to bear with me here. My battery is dying.
We'll talk for a little bit. We will talk.
Let me figure this out.
You figure it out. But what I was going to say, Kev, is I'm swinging at a few moneyline plays on this show, and I think if you just hit one, then you're in profit. But we are not particularly high on Lille at All Angle Sports Investing right now. They'll come good, but I think there's a few things they need to work on. And this point in time, I think it's a good opportunity to be betting against them. So plus 333. That price isn't going to last. You can get that at $2 or $3 right now. I think they might even kick off less than plus 300 in general. So we'll have to see how that goes. Right, moving on to a pick from you, Kev. The host, of course, always has one main pick on the show. You've not lost it yet in 2 attempts. Your Luton over 3 was a push last week. I dare say you were kind of cheering on the 4th Chelsea goal late on when you knew the game was done.
No, I was cheering on the consolation goal, Steve. It was, our end. They'd done enough punishment to us by that time.
Doncaster Rovers against Swindon. I didn't watch the midweek game, but Doncaster nearly knocked Everton out of the cup, didn't they? And Everton's blushes were saved late. I looked at the table. I'm like, no wonder everyone was on about how Everton were nearly getting knocked out by the lowest ranked team in League Two right now. Plus 150 Swindon here. I'm guessing this could be a bit of a come-down effect as well for Doncaster after that near miss.
Yeah, a bit of a come-down effect, as you just alluded to. They've not really started the season particularly well. I'm not a huge fan of their manager, Grant McCann. I think he's massively overrated. He had a good season at Peterborough and he's done okay at Hull, but nothing special. I think Doncaster are a side kind of on the decline. I don't think they're going to get relegated. I don't think that goes to I don't think they're that bad. But by the same token, I don't think they're promotion candidates. I do think Swindon are promotion candidates, though, or if not candidates, because League Two this season, we've said it already on this show a couple of times, League Two is really, really strong this season with Wrexham, with Notts County, with Stockport, many other sides that are in there that are all fighting for promotion. But Swindon can certainly hold their own in this league. If you look at their last two results, they had that crazy 5-5 draw against Wrexham. And then last week, they battered Crawley, who had started the season pretty well. They absolutely annihilated them. 6-0 at home they were in that game. They're away in this game. That's 11 goals in 2 games. This is a free-scoring side. Steve, you all know Charlie Austin, who leads their line. He's been around the block for God knows how long. He's played in more countries than I've visited. He's really good at bringing all of the sort of attacking midfielders into play, though. He holds the ball up well. And they've got a youngster who plays alongside him, who scored 6 goals in those last 2 games. So he's on absolute fire. But yeah, this is kind of going back to your Lille Montpellier thing, really. Doncaster had just been given a bit of a runaround in the second half by Everton. And when a League Two side chases a Premier League team around, it has an effect. And if you watch that game, the longer it went on, Everton just coasted through, really. They really did. There's going to be a lot of heavy legs in that Doncaster side. They've not got the resources to rest players like other teams in the Carabao Cup do, so they had to play their first team. Kind of one of those Yorkshire nights where it was throwing it down with rain. It was just a horrible night to play football, really. So, yeah, they're going to have tired legs. They're going to have to come down. The Doncaster ground's not going to be full like it was against Everton. And they're playing a Swindon side who are absolutely rampant at the moment. I would have Swindon a lot shorter than this. I'm not a huge backer of away teams, but I think this is a perfect spot and a really, really juicy price to get stuck into free scoring Swindon.
It is. That's a standout price with Bet365, by the way, plus 150. Generally, the books are a little bit more sensible between the plus 110 and plus 120 range, but they may well kick off close to the even money mark there, Kev. So again, it's good theory. Doncaster have really slid down the perimeters. I think I remember when Leeds played them in a League One playoff, and they were always kind of challenging in that spot. They even made it into the Championship, I do believe. Maybe I'm wrong there, but they've really plighted down there, rock bottom of that table. So it looks a good play.
Yeah, and League Two's been good to the show in the first 2 weeks. Hopefully, it will be again this week. We've covered a lot of top leagues already on this show, but we haven't yet covered Serie A. So let's put that one to bed and let's get over there. Where, Ashley, you've got a pick for us on the champions.
Right. So Napoli here, they hit for us last time when we had the combo of Osimhen to score and Napoli to win at plus money. Napoli is kind of doing that freezing thing. So can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, we've got you.
Okay. Napoli at home here. Lazio, I am not impressed with at all. No idea how they finished as high as they did in the Serie A table last season. Extremely overachieved when you look at when you dig deep into their numbers. So line looks, for a team that seems to be in much better form with, to me, at least tied for the best informed striker right now in Osimhen. I don't usually like laying like a minus 135, minus 136, but Napoli at home here, I think our man Osimhen scores again, but I'm going to leave that out of it. I'm just going to say that Napoli scored twice here. Lazio looked putrid. I had both teams to score in their last match when they played Genoa, and the team that nobody else thought would score, Genoa, it beat them 1-0. So yeah, I just think that they're a struggling side. I think the fact that they finished second in the table last season, they might still be getting a little bit of credit for that. Ciro Immobile, to me, he's not a Serie A striker. He needs to be like in Serie B. So yeah, I'm going to take advantage here of Napoli and Osimhen and say that combination is able to put up 2 here. Don't care if they win. With the way Brighton burned us all last time, I'm staying the hell away from sides. I'm taking match totals, team total scores, all that shit. So yeah, I'm gonna say that Napoli can score at least 2 times here.
Yeah, that's the good thing. I mean, you're literally just on Napoli here. Whatever Lazio do or don't do, it's absolutely no interest to us. as long
Correct.
as Napoli find the net.
What has happened to Lazio? Lazio have been bloody awful, I think, this year. In fact, I watched the Champions League draw today, and I think one of the weakest groups I've ever seen has come out of the hat. We've got Lazio, Feyenoord, Celtic, and Atletico Madrid. And I tell you what, they're minus 125 to win that group, Atletico Madrid. And I think I'd consider putting a wheelbarrow of cash on that, because the other three, I think, are pretty crap compared to Lazio. Just have really gone off. But did you know, if you had put 1 point level stake on every single team on the money line in Serie A last season, Lazio would have made you the most profit. But it's really hard to do that 2 years in a row, because there has, like Ashley said, been quite a big overachievement with that club.
Yes.
Yeah, immobile by name, and in terms of goal scoring at the minute, immobile by nature as well. It has to.
Yes. Perfect name for that bastard. I used to love taking him too, but my God, it's like, I seriously don't know if he could score on like a 103-year-old woman in a wheelchair playing keeper. So I don't know what the dude's problem is. Kudos to him. He makes a ton of money to suck that bad. But yeah, let's just hope that win or lose, who cares? Let's hope that Napoli put up a couple goals.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm with you. I've never really been a fan of Immobile. And we've probably seen why for the first couple of weeks of the season. Steve, let's finish the main picks on the show in your stomping ground, Norway, top flight of Norway. 2 picks left on the show. We'll start with the lesser of the 2 games, actually. Brann versus Sarpsborg, 5th against 7th, Sunday afternoon. And this is another one of your value away picks.
Yeah, it served us well on the show last week, did Sarpsborg. 4-0 win to cover the goal line that we were on against Tromsø, who are in 3rd place. And I actually think Sarpsborg have struck gold this evening, with Brann going all the way to extra time and penalties against AZ Alkmaar. Fantastic achievement to push AZ that far. But now you've been knocked out on penalties, and only one person missed a penalty as well. So he's probably debating whether to jump into the nearest fjord, isn't he? This evening, poor bloke. But there's going to be a come down, isn't there? You're going to be gutted. You're going to be depressed. They're 5th in the table, Brann. They've got to be in the top 4 to have any chance of qualifying for Europe next season. But at the end of the day, I think Sarpsborg at plus 300 is a massive price away from home against a side that's just been pushed all the way. I have not got a clue which version of Sarpsborg will turn up. Genuinely, they can be good, they can be bad, they can be ugly. I said this last week. But I think they just have to be average to potentially win this game. It's a tough place to go. There'll be a lot of people betting on Brann because they'll just look at the stats. Brann have won so many games at home and they've only lost once or whatever. And they'll think, Brann are going to win easily. But just look at what they've just played 3 days ago. If they can come back and recover from that, then kudos to them. Fair play to them. So it's another value swing. This might not be, I might end up taking the goals for this game. I might end up taking team total for the game or a handicap. But at the moment, it just stood out to me. Money line, swing, plus 300.
Yep, another potentially knackered team against a much more fresher team. That kudos word's coming up in this show far too often. It's making
I know it is, isn't it?
Making me nervous for tomorrow night now. I hope the bloke don't even get on the bench now. I'm that worried about him now. It's not your only pick in Norway for this show, though, Steve. Your other one involves the leaders, Bodo Glimt, but it's actually their opponents that you like.
This is a risky play. I don't like betting against Bodo Glimt, but again, there's a theme here. They've just gone to extra time themselves against a team from Romania who genuinely I'd never heard of before this round. Someone's called Sept. But it was a grueling game. It was a grueling game. It was end-to-end football. The amount of energy expended was huge. I do know that Bodo Glimt have got two players suspended for this game, including Albert Grombeck, who's been in great form for them. Pellegrino, I watched in the last couple of minutes of extra time, he couldn't even chase after a ball. He looked like he was pulling his groin. Pellegrino is the big player for Bodo Glimt. When he's on the field, they can win any match. But I wonder if he's going to be injured for this Sunday clash or benched. And that concerns me. Hamkam, actually, beat Rosenborg recently after Rosenborg played in the Conference League. So I think they're struck lucky again with the fixture list here. They're fighting against relegation. They'll be bang up for it. And they've actually played Bodø/Glimt quite well since they got promoted a couple of seasons ago. So Asian handicap +1 at +115. So if they lose by 1 goal, and that could be very much be in play, 1 goal win for Bodø/Glimt. This is a sort of match, if they really are going to be champions, they'll pick themselves up the canvas and find a way to nick this 3 points. Let's see if they've got that in them. But I would not be surprised if HamKam even won the game, Kev. I think it's a great time to face Bodø/Glimt. Really is.
Yeah, got that sort of, like I just said, probably not going to be. Don't know what the dog obviously likes the pick anyway. Yeah,
it's a barking dog. We like that, yeah.
You know, he obviously likes the pick. So fair play. No, we got that same thing where obviously we've got a team that only going to get home in the early hours Friday morning. This time they're going to have to travel away. That's even less preparation time for their next match, and that's very much the sort of side that I like to be back in. Yeah, so like Steve says, even a 1 goal deficit, you get your money back. So certainly a value play there. As the caption says, we'll finish the show, as always, with some anytime scorer suggestions. We have been absolutely smashing these to pieces in the first 2 shows so far. Elliot Lee, once again, I'm glad someone else's dog usually barks. It's not just my one. Elliot Lee coined for us last week inside about 10 minutes. Danny Olmo coined for us again last week. And Ashley, you're striking while the iron's hot once again with regards to the Leipzig man.
Right. To me, I'm a firm believer in if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Right. Yet again, this is just a case where I'm going to keep slapping these books around as long as it's kind of like they're in this challenge of they think these odds are going to be so high. People are going to think, well, surely he's not going to score this time. But I'm just going to keep saying that he is, and I'm willing to bet it, because even if he doesn't, my clients and I we're already up betting him. So getting Danny Olmo at +380, I hope he is one of those players who pays attention to odds and things like that, because that isn't just a slap in the face, just an absolute slap in the face. That price is probably double overpriced. So yeah, I'm happy to take the +380 all day long. I was going to mention too, their opponent have 2 value scorers in the same match, actually. The Kevin Behrens for Union Berlin. Union Berlin is typically a team where at home they're a fortress, really tough to break down, and then you kind of fade them on the road. But I think both these teams are scoring well, and getting him at +270, yeah, I'll absolutely be on both of them. And then as my safer, as safe as a scorer can be, Marcel actually just mentioned my guy here, Boniface. Even money, Leverkusen on fire. They're at home. I think they put up at least 3 goals. I could see him netting multiple ones, but getting him at even money to score just once, absolutely love that play.
Yeah, I said earlier in the show, didn't I, that there's a few Bundesliga games that look like they've got goals written all over them, and there's 3 goal scorers who very well could find the back of the net this weekend. That Danny Elmo price is crazy.
Well, it's actually
getting bigger,
+400 you can get on him now. And at this match, this match is it's because for some reason the goal line for this match is only at 2.5, and it's because Union Berlin have this reputation of being a very defensive team. I don't like getting involved in their games because they have very, very weird metrics, in my opinion, and you've got to look beneath the stats. They're one of them few teams you've got to look beneath the stats to get them right. But would Timo Werner interest you, Kev, here anytime at +250? I know that would tease you into a bet. I know you're a big fan.
Steve,
or Lewis Openda maybe would be more.
I wouldn't back it at +2,500. That bloke, I swear to God, if you gave him 1,000 banjos, he couldn't hit a cow's ass. It's no, absolutely not.
I would back him at.
He almost scoring so many goals, because if he doesn't, no bugger else is going to.
Yeah, that's true. I would lay a -2,000 on Timo Werner to miss a wide open net. or to be offsides on the one he scores. That guy's horrible. No idea how he's in the top flight in Germany. No idea at all.
No, I mean, having seen Chelsea last week, they've certainly upgraded in the number 9 department. That is for sure. Jackson looks an absolute different level to Timo Werner. Steve, I'll do my 2 first, and then we'll finish off with your one. I'm very much following the Ashley route of striking while the iron's hot. First show that we did, I flagged up Joe Taylor for Colchester against Milton Keynes Dons. He scored in that game. He actually scored twice in that game. And we're going with him again. This time, Colchester are away to Walsall, another side who haven't started particularly well. I highlighted that Colchester are a game behind everyone else because they had their opening match against Swindon called off. So their league position is very much false. I expect Colchester to be a lot higher up come the end of the season. Joe Taylor really has hit the ground running in that league. I knew he was far too good for that league anyway. Walsall are struggling like crazy to keep clean sheets at the minute. They had a centre-back sent off last week in their defeat, and they actually had to bring on a midfielder for him. So they're obviously light in numbers at centre-half. Given that he's suspended and potentially going to be a midfielder in that defence, Joe Taylor at plus 260. It's too big again for me, and will gladly hope that he fills his boots. And another one for me, Steve, you know how I like my Luton players out on loan to score some goals. John McAtee's the latest one that's left Kenilworth Road. He's gone to Barnsley. He made his debut last week. He came off the bench for the last 25 minutes away to Wigan. Wigan are one of the better sides in League One, but they're only down where they are because they had a points deduction before the season started. Barnsley won 2-0 in that game. John McAtee scored the second goal in the 92nd minute. All that I'm hearing from our guys at Luton and sort of in and around the place is that he's in line to start this week. Luton haven't loaned him out for him to be sat on the bench and only playing 20 and 30 minutes here. I happen to know, Steve, that if Jacob Brown's move hadn't materialised for Luton, Rob Edwards would have been more than happy to keep John McAtee in the Luton squad for the Premier League this season. But because of the Premier League rules where you can only name 25 men, he was kind of taking up a place, and so they've let him go out on loan. Barnsley play Cheltenham, who are bottom of the league. They're yet to score a single goal this season. They lost their main goal scorer last season, Alfie May. Their manager is sort of already painting a pretty gloomy picture of things. Barnsley, one of the best sides in League One, probably should have got promoted last season. Lost out in the playoff final. I think McAtee's a good player. I think he's more than good enough for League One. He's probably still good enough for the Championship. And you can get plus 275 on him to find the back of the net for Barnsley in your neck of the woods. So they're my 2, Steve. 2 Luton players, Joe Taylor, Colchester at Walsall, John McAtee, Barnsley at Cheltenham.
Yeah, and just your odds for those: John McAtee plus 275 anytime score, and Joe Taylor plus 260. To go back to Ash's bet there, Danny Olmo, you can get him at plus 400. And we know we can get Boniface for at least plus 100. He might be able to get even slightly more in some places. I've just looked at Cheltenham. Bloody hell. They look awful. They haven't scored a goal in 5 games. Dear me. That looks... what price are Barnsley? They are minus money away from home, but you might as well get on one of the scorers, I suppose.
Yeah, they were nearly my main pick, Steve. And if I had 2 on the show, Barnsley would have been the other one. But I just think at the price, if Barnsley do win, McAtee will score. So take the much bigger price.
Yeah. I've got one goal scorer suggestion for the week, and it comes in Sweden. And it's a match Degerfors against Häcken. And I'm going with a guy called Amol Laguni, who actually scored tonight in the Conference League. Now, this is a standout price at plus 240 with Bet365 at the moment. But you will be getting significantly plus money wherever you go. There's a big thing here. Ibrahim Sadiq looks like he's going to be sold by Häcken. He looked so good tonight against Aberdeen. But crucially, he's the man that's often a big scorer for them. And I think he's even been on penalties at times as well. It interested me tonight that Laguni was on penalty kick duties. So he should retain on them now. He's good technically. They're away against Degerfors, who are fighting in the relegation battle. I've never rated their defence at all. Actually, funny enough, in the last 2 matches, the goalkeeper saved penalties against Degerfors, so hopefully he doesn't make a hat-trick of it. Yeah, this is just a big price. They are away from home. I wouldn't want to back them actually because they've just played a tough game in Europe. But the main goal scoring threat for a while may well be Amola Uni now. So at plus 240 against a terrible team, really. Can't really ignore that one. So that's my suggestion of the week. Amola Uni for Häcken.
Yep, fair enough. That's 4 goal scorer suggestions that we've all picked out, and a couple of others that we've discussed as well. So there's plenty of goal scorers there to go into multiples or things like that, or even just back as singles. Marcel, we will be doing a preview of the Champions League and Conference League and all of that when the group stages come along a little bit later. Obviously, we've got the international break next week. But once we get a little bit closer, and once this transfer window is concluded and we all know exactly who's playing for who and where they're playing and everything else like that, then we'll get stuck into our Champions League and all of our European bets. So, yes, they will come along on shows next month, actually, rather than...
And Marcel, by the way, Marcel asked no Jonas Vind this week. Well, I think he might have tuned in a little bit late because earlier on we do discuss that game. And also want to give a big shout out to Hannah, who saved the day with Ash's headphones.
Absolutely.
I couldn't hear anything you just said because I'm out here in the middle of the Pacific on this island with this shitty ass connection. But yeah, Marcel, I was going to comment on that. That Jonas Vind, or yeah, that he is one of my actually main plays, not just value plays. So yeah, I'm all over him this week.
Well, just in case anyone did tune in late, let's just quickly run through the picks that we've that we flagged up over the course of the show. So the main picks for this show, Ashley has given us Luton versus West Ham over 2.5 goals, which I fully endorse, and also Jonas Vind to score anytime. And Ashley's also gone Napoli over 1.5 team goals. Steve has gone with 2 value away picks on Montpellier to beat Lille, Sarpsborg to beat Brann in the Norway top flight, and also Ham Can +1 Asian line, was it, Steve, against the leaders Bodo Glimt. And my bet of the week is Swindon to beat Doncaster in League 2. Rewind the show to find out all of the reasoning, but there are our picks. And that's it for this episode of the show. Steve, thanks very much for your thoughts. Ashley, thanks very much for your thoughts. Really hope you're getting goals tomorrow night, and I hope they're all in one net in particular, and it's not the Luton one for once. Thanks to everyone for watching. We hope you have a great weekend, but whatever you do, make sure you gamble responsibly and keep backing those winners, and we'll be back next time.
Yeah,
cheers, everyone.
See you guys. Yep. Cheers. Thanks for joining us.